everyone! Today we're doing a tarot deck review, but we're doing it a little different today. Normally I do a whole first look and flip through, and then I do the actual review at the end after working with it for a while, and I am very, very far behind on those kinds of videos, but I'm not really inspired to do the second part of really any of those decks right now. So instead, I'm going to do a little different type of video with a bunch of decks that I have next to me that I don't really get to talk about on this channel or their follow-ups. Today, we're going to talk about some of my favorite decks that I've been using a lot. So first up, I'm not going to be doing a review on this deck. I actually got it very recently, but for obvious reasons, I'm not going to review it. It is the White RWS. It's just in pink and white, so it's it's the traditional White RWS. So we don't have to go through the imagery of this. It's just, in pink and white instead of all the colors. The back is really cute though. Look at that. That's so cute. But I got this a couple months ago, and I love it. It is so nice. It's very much it's a really great counterpart to the Gentle Heart tarot that I have, which is the Gentle Heart is very much for soul healing. This is the feel good side of that. This is for all the lovey-dovey and just things that make you happy kind of thing. I don't know. It's just really good for the feel good kind of answers. I don't know. It's just it's really nice. I really like it. Also, it came with this really nice velvet bag. It's so soft. I love it. And this awesome reading cloth. So great. I especially love the bag because it comes in this little box, and it's kind of flimsy, so I love that I can put it all in the bag. And this is just I've been reading with this a lot, and it's great. This would also make a pretty good pendulum cloth if you want to work with the astrology seasons for your pendulum questions. I really like this deck. I've been using it a lot. Next, we have my old favorite, still use it all the time, my Last Unicorn deck. It's still absolutely beautiful. I've been using it for 2 years now, and it's still the cards are still such good shape. They are still so shiny and beautiful, and they're just I love them. If you have not seen my unboxing video of this, you should go watch it if you're interested in the deck, but also just I'm so gleeful on the title cover image about finally having it in my hands. I love it. I love this deck. Still love it. Absolutely. And if you love The Last Unicorn, definitely worth checking out. Still expensive, but still worth the price if you love The Last Unicorn like I do. Now, the other deck that I reviewed really early on, and I do think I am going to redo this video, is the Efflorescent tarot. I have struggled with this deck. Not struggled, but when I first got it, I don't know if I talked about this in the video because it was so early on, but when I first got it, I did not connect to it at all, which was disappointing because I had spent hours and hours and hours looking up tarot decks of what I wanted my first tarot deck to be. I love the artwork. I love the imagery. I just did not connect with it. And it wasn't until I got my Last Unicorn deck that I really connected with the deck. And this just sat on my shelf for a really long time. And I think you can even tell in my video that I wasn't even very familiar with the cards. Just how I talk about them. Not tarot cards in general, but these cards. And I didn't use this for a really long time, and I only started using it, honestly, because it is a very blunt and to the point deck, and it likes to call you out on your bullshit, and one of my friends wants that. Any tarot reading, he wants that. He wants to be called out on his bullshit, so he would always ask for this deck. So I started using it a little more because of that, but it was still like a long time before I started reading for myself with it. And now when I do, I really appreciate it. I don't know. I like, not that readings from the other decks are less honest or anything, but like when this is like, girl, pay attention. I know. Like, I've talked a little on this channel about the sun and the star. Have I talked about the sun and the star? But the sun and the star, I pull a lot. Always about this one thing. Always when I'm doubting this one thing and like all the work I'm putting into this and whether it will ever actually like pan out or anything. I pull the sun and the star whenever I'm really, really doubting that. And I don't pull the sun or the star for any other reading for myself. No other reading. But every single time I'm really doubting myself about that, I pull it. So a few weeks ago, I was like really upset and I started shuffling this deck because like, okay, this is going to tell me no bullshit. And so I started shuffling it and it threw the star at me. It threw the star. And it was just like, okay. I know. So, I really appreciate this deck for what it is. I really appreciate this deck for its bluntness, even if sometimes I don't want that. But sometimes I need it. But it's a really great deck. I will probably at some point redo my review on this just because I'm much more familiar with working with it now. And that was more just like a flip through and rambling about the cards. So I will probably do like a redo of that video on this deck at some point, but not today. So this is the Efflorescent Tarot. Unfortunately, I was looking it up for someone the other day. Unfortunately, it does not seem to be sold anymore. So that's a little sad, but I have it. Some of my favorite cards from this deck, of course, like, I love the sun and the star from this. All the sunflowers. So I love the sun and the star, of course. I think I'm contractually obligated to love them. I love this tower. Like, just, I mean, I don't want to pull it, but like, I love the tower. I actually, like the moon. I love this art style because it feels very, very, Starry Night. Like, just how the waves are texturized and the stars in the sky and everything. So I really like these for the art style. The devil card is really interesting because, as you can see, like, a lot of the imagery does follow the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith, but then like the devil card is just so different and it's just like a heap of trash and decay. I really like what this brings to the interpretation, you know? And then Queen of Wands. Like, she's surrounded by sunflowers. Who doesn't love the Queen of Wands? Like, come on. She's great. So just a few of my favorite cards from that deck. Next, another deck that I got really early on, and also I love the imagery. I love the art style. Did not connect with it. Felt very disappointed by that, but I eventually did. But I don't know if I'll ever do a video on this. I haven't done a video on this one, but as a very commonly known deck is the Shadowscapes. This was the second deck I ever got. Efflorescent was the first. I love it. Like, it's just got such a beautiful fantasy feel to it, and it's so great. The death card is my favorite card, and this is my favorite card of all the death cards I have. It's my favorite. I have a print of it on my wall hanging above my ancestor altar. I'm very tied to Phoenix energy, and I love it. I saw that and it was just like, yes, that is it. But unfortunately, I took forever to actually figure out how to really use this deck. And it's interesting because when I've talked to other people, like other friends in this deck, a lot of them got the same like impression that I did. And then some of them are like, it's a great everyday deck. I use it all the time. Not me. A lot of the time people get the same vibe about decks. This one, not so much. And it's so interesting. The way I work with this deck is that I found it to be a lot more useful when I asked like more abstract questions, not so much like, what do I need to do to make this happen kind of thing, but like more abstract, like, what do I need to focus on? Just like, what am I not seeing? Like in this situation or just in general, what am I not seeing in my life? What do I need to focus on? What do I need to work on? What do I need to put my energy into? That's how I use this deck, more abstract, and also like other questions, but those are just some examples of what I'm like mean when I say more abstract. It's not so much like solid concrete, like, is this going to work out kind of thing. Yes, the sun. 10 of Cups. Great. But it's more like, what do I need to do? And I feel like a lot of tarot is that, but this is more not really situation specific. This is more like general idea, like general life guidance kind of thing. If that makes sense at all. I've also found it to be good just for like daily pulls. Again, like, what do I need to focus on? Like, what do I need to keep in mind for today? Not so much like, how is today going to go? But what do I need to keep in mind for today? What do I need to focus on? That kind of questions. And the thing is about this deck, I very rarely pull more than one card at a time with it. There's so much imagery and symbolism in each one. This is like, I love this card. I love this card so much. But there's just so much symbolism and imagery in every card that I feel like it gives you everything you need with one card. It's just like, yes, it's all there. So I usually only pull one card. That's all I need. So I really like working with this deck. I don't know if I'll ever do a video on this specifically because it's been out for a really long time. A lot of people have made videos about it. A lot of people have seen this deck. But I just wanted to mention it in this video because I just, I wanted to mention it somewhere because I really like this deck. But I don't feel like it needs its own video unless you really want to see that. But let me know if you do. But otherwise, look at the Knight of Cups. Oh, I love it. I love it. So yeah, I just magically pulled out my favorite cards just like flipping through this. We've got the Death card. I love the Empress. I love the Empress. And the Knight of Cups riding a unicorn. The Justice card is so good. So good. One of the other things I really like about this deck is it's subtle because it just works so well, but you don't really notice unless you look at like a whole suit. But like, all the Cups cards are blue. All the Wands cards are yellow. All the Pentacle cards are green. It's really nice that they did that between the suits. It of course makes sense, like they're tied to the elements that the suits represent, but I just love that they had that little extra detail, and it's subtle enough that you don't really notice. Like, obviously the cup's water, but like it doesn't like stand out, you know. I love this deck. I love this deck so much. One of the other decks I've been using a ton, I mentioned this before in its own video, but the Crystal Unicorn Tarot. I love it. I love it. I still use this like all the time. It's great. It's pastel. It's unicorns. It's got crystals. I think I mentioned in the video that like every major arcana card has its own crystal on it and is associated with the traits of that card, and every minor arcana suit has its own crystal. Like citrine is the pentacles, rose quartz is the cups. And also, I don't know if I commented on this, but like the cards have like, I don't know how else to describe it other than it has like a pastel feel to it. Like it's like a little like matte pastel feel to it. And I was just like, it just feels right for this deck. I love this. It's White RWS, but with unicorns. Like I said, I don't actually have White RWS, traditional White RWS deck, but I do have unicorns. I do have pink and white. Look at the lovers. I love this. I love this deck. Love it. I have a review for that one in a separate video. And I actually have another deck by the same creator that I do need to finish the second part up. It's called Witchling Academy. And I do need to finish up that video. So that will probably be my next tarot video, my next tarot deck video. So keep an eye out for that. Then I just wanted to update you on working with the Somnia tarot. I made a video for this one when it first came out, so I haven't done like an actual review because I wanted to get it up as soon as it came out. But I just want to say, I love this deck. I love it. I actually use it way more than I thought I was going to. So I think in the video I mentioned that this was going to make such a great shadow work deck. You can't see anyone's faces in it. The deck is based on the photographer's sleep paralysis demons. So like you would think, like, look, it's kind of creepy. You would think like great shadow work deck, right? And I'm sure it is. I actually have not been needing to do any, not that you need to do, like, you always need to do shadow work, but, like, it hasn't been a great pull in my life at the moment, like it was, like, last year. I think I deserve a little break, you know, after everything I went through last year. It's such a nice deck to work with, just in general. I found it to actually be very comforting, like a friend, I think is the best way to say it. I was going to say friendly, but that's not really it. It's like, it's comforting like a friend. I love working with this deck, and I thought it was going to be so much harsher than it actually is. Like, I thought it was going to be like blunt, like the Efflorescent deck. And it's not. So I was pleasantly surprised about that. But I also love that the imagery is just, it's so unique because, first of all, you don't see anyone's faces. So that already lends like its own unique spin to it. It's a deck I really like to sit down with and look at. Instead of just being like, oh yeah, 7 of Cups choices. and then move on to the next card. This is a deck like I really like to sit with, and I get fresh perspective when I look at these cards, which as a tarot reader, I always welcome fresh perspectives. That's why like I watch other tarot readers on Twitch. I am constantly reading tarot books. I watch YouTube videos. I talk to people about tarot. I talk to tarot readers. I love getting fresh perspectives, and so when I get a deck that gives me fresh perspectives, it's just so nice because then I like can just do it in my own time, and it's just like look at the Magician. I just really like this deck. So Somnia Tarot, you can check out my full flip through on my video, and well, the links to get all of these will be down below, except for Efflorescent, because that is apparently not sold anymore. I was going to pick out a few of my favorite cards, but honestly, I love all of them, but also I think I picked out a few of my favorites in the flip through, so check that out. As for decks that give me a fresh new perspective, I have to mention this deck. I haven't done the full video on this. I recorded the flip through like back in January, but I haven't done the second part because this gives me such fresh perspectives that I don't even work with the deck yet. That goes to Starman Tarot. I love it, but I'm not even going to say like it's a hard deck to work with. It is very complicated. It's a complicated deck to work with. Every card has so much going on. One of my friends commented that like she actually gets sensory overload with this deck, which I can totally see. Look at the sun. Like, oh. I've actually been like sitting down and just looking at each card and studying it, like pulling out all of the imagery that I see. There's so much going on in these. I actually have a write-up of my study of this card on my Ko-Fi blog for subscribers, for supporters, but I have just been like sitting down and looking at all the imagery because like there's so much going on. Look at this. First of all, Sid Vicious. This is the Knight of Swords, so Prince of Swords. The pages are princesses. The knights are princes in this deck. But it's just like, you know, the Knight of Swords is all about charging in, very passionate, but like this really pulls to mind like the but at what cost part of the deck, part of the card. It's like he's like bloody, he's victorious, but at what cost? It just makes me stop and think about whether I should be charging it. And sometimes the answer is yes. But this makes me stop and think and weigh all the pros and cons of doing so. This deck makes me think so much, and it's just like there's so much going on in here. There's sacred geometry, which I know nothing about, but I really want to learn, which I didn't want to learn about before, but like I want to learn just for the sake of like understanding these cards more. So if you know any sacred geometry resources, please let me know. But there's just so much going on in every card, like the Star, the Fool. There's just so much. I love it. But like I said, I don't actually work with this deck. I have not reached that level with this deck. I think it's going to be great once I do, but right now I feel like I need to sit and study these cards. This is such a much more esoteric deck with this imagery than I'm used to, and I love it. I love tarot that makes me think. I love tarot decks that make me think, like, more than the standard imagery, you know? But I am not ready to work with this, and that's okay, but that's also why I haven't done the second part of the review video for this deck. But also, alongside the deck, it has an awesome book. Like, look at this. Like, this is a book. Look at all this about just one card. I love reading this book. It is one of those, like, the interpretations are great. And like the cards themselves, the interpretations in this book give me a lot of new stuff to think about. Like, it's just like a fresh perspective, a little extra bit of insight that I had never considered before. I love this. I've been saying, I put this pretty much, not quite, but pretty on par with 78 Degrees of Wisdom in terms of tarot interpretations, in terms of books that I have read of tarot. This is great. I love it. So if nothing else, this deck is worth it for the book. But honestly, like, it's a lot to work with, but honestly, like, the cards are great. And I look forward to the day that I actually start working with the cards. But right now, I'm happy to just sit down and study them. And I'm going to be doing more of those sit down and study blog posts on my Ko-Fi once I am done with work, which I should be done by the time this video goes live. So I'm really excited about that. And I'm going to get back to doing those. And maybe I'll just start at the start, though. Maybe I'll just start with the Fool, or the Clown, as it's the Sacred Clown, it's called in this deck. So that's my honorable mention. It's not what I'm reading from at the moment, but I'm really appreciating still. So this was a little different tarot video. I just wanted to follow up on some of those decks that I have done videos for, and also, you know, decks I haven't done videos for. And so those are primarily the decks that I'm using a lot these days, aside from Starman, of course. Sometimes I pull out like Pastel Journey, and sometimes I pull out Gentle Heart, but that one's like very specific to like needing soul healing for me. So these are like the decks I've been using frequently lately. So that is this month's tarot video. So I hope you enjoyed it. Which deck did you like? Which deck are you interested in, or have, or want to get, or want to see more of? Because I can do more videos. Let me know in the comments below, and I will see you for another video next week. Don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more, and of course, a like and a comment goes such a long way in helping this channel grow. Links to buy these decks, if they're still able to be bought, are down below in the description, along with all my social links if you want to keep up with me elsewhere. Thanks for watching. Have a wonderful, magical day.